Good afternoon, welcome to VANIK-IAS. We'll discuss current affairs of 23rd May. First topic is, will all the overseas spends come under tax rate? Will all the overseas spends comes under tax rate? The center has amended the rules under Foreign Exchange Management Act (FEMA), bringing international credit card spends outside India under the liberalized remittance scheme (LRS). Amended the rules of FEMA, right? Center has amended the rules of FEMA, right? Also, also from July 1, spending on international credit cards will attract higher tax rate of tax collected at source, that is at 20%. The government said that decision was taken in consultation with the Reserve Bank of India. So, spending on international credit cards will attract a higher rate of tax, that is TCS at 20%, and that will be applied from July 1. And under liberalized remittance scheme (LRS), the FEMA Act, and by bringing in the under the FEMA Act, the international credit spends outside India are also brought under the LRS. Okay. Widespread outcry from business and taxpayer has compelled the government to issue elaborate explanation on the rationale of the tax levy. By the end of this week, Finance Ministry had made a partial U-turn to kill criticism that ranged from a return of tax terrorism and harassment of Indians going abroad for work or leisure trips. So various citizens and businessmen, they are complained that it is a one type of tax terrorism, that huge number of tax is getting imposed on various goods. And for February 1, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman proposed to raise the tax collection at source. TCS means tax collection at source rate on overseas tour packages as well as foreign remittances under the liberalized remittances scheme (LRS) scheme. Indians are allowed to remit up to $2.5 lakh a year abroad under the to be raised from 5% to 20%. TCS rate, it has increased from 5% to 20%. 20% tax was proposed for all remittances under LRS as opposed to the extent of treatment as 5% TCS remittances over 7 lakh. These didn't cover the remittances made for education or medical expenses abroad, which are permitted up to 7 lakh annually, already attracted 5% TCS. So the tax rate has increased from 5% to 20%. What were the notifications issued on May 16? Finance Ministry notified Foreign Exchange Management 2023 bring all credit card spends abroad under the remittance of LRS. A new notification drafting the consultation $2.5 lakh annual LRS limit as a liberalized measure. These changes enable the levy higher tax and higher TCS on credit card spends overseas from July 1 this year. And the government gave an assurance that this will not impact purchase of foreign services like newspaper or streaming services subscription while bringing in India. Okay, so the tax rate has increased, and the government gave assurance that this will not impact the purchases on foreign services like newspaper or streaming services. For example, if somebody is taking some subscription of some countries like Netflix, right, some newspaper, this extra tax will not be imposed in those dimensions. Why did it trigger a error? Right? 20% TCS levy on credit card spends abroad would mean any such expense made abroad varying for education and healthcare would enter additional funds of the taxpayer being blocked, which they could either adjust against the advance of tax payments or await refund from the income or tax returns. For IT refunds, taxpayers may end up waiting as long as 15 months, if not more, at each assessment year's taxes are filed in the following financial year. Several people have flagged this unnecessary harassment. They consider it as harassment, that is increasing too much taxation, blocking of funds for honest taxpayers. Question the need of this 20% levy on the intent was to track such spending which are likely to be captured by the banks issuing credit cards already. The 2% or 5% TCS would have done the tracking job as well. So if you want to track it, that 5% TCS would have also done. Why are you increasing it to 20%? This is what the taxpayers were was raising concerns. Concerns were also spread on employees using cars during overseas work trips and escalating costs for those who aspire for a foreign holiday. So those who aspire for a foreign holiday are going to other countries, and uh, in those cases, the expenditure is going increase. It is increasing, right? For the government, it will increase the tax buoyancy, but for the private players, it is one type of burden. That's why they are objecting the issue. How do the government counter criticism? Reacting to sharp retorts of the industry leaders, the other citizens and social media, the finance ministry issued a statement highlighting instances that have come to their notice where LRS payments are disproportionately high when compared to individual disclosed their incomes. Right? Where LRS payments are disproportionately high and individual disclose the income. So this is the problem when individual disclose the income, it is very less, but when the spend outside, that is very high, and that's a big issue. According to Finance Ministry, one of our business visits overseas by employees won't be affected as the primary impact will be on the two travel packages. Gifts to non-residents, domestic high net worth individuals investing assets such as real estate, bond stocks outside India. So anybody who is doing so, that should be on government notification. They are violating they are not disclosing the real in expenditure, or so many individuals who are going abroad are not disclosing that are the real expenditures, which is much beyond what their incomes. That is the issue. That's why government has amended the credit card spending in international trips. Ministry has further added that individuals remitting from their own funds are normally expected to be higher income taxpayers. Usually, they are higher income taxpayers. Those who are remitting from their own funds. Right? It's one thing, either you are going it is a visit of corporate visit. In that case, most of the spend should be done by the corporate. Next, if second it is the individual spending who is going outside, they are high income taxpayers. Adding the 20% TCS rate is not high. The tax slab of 20% starts in the new design for incomes over 12 lakhs and 30% of incomes over 15 lakhs. So anybody who has income more than 15 lakhs, they have a mm, yes, they have a TDS of 30%. 30% taxes will be imposed, and 20% starts in the new design incomes, that is over 12 lakhs. So, so those who are going abroad, they have high income. That's why a tax will not be levied. What is the Rule 7 of Foreign Exchange Management Rules 2000? The Rule 7 of Foreign Exchange Management CAT rules 2000 exempted the use of international credit cards from LRS payments. Exempted the use of international credit cards from LRS payments by a person towards meeting expenses while such a person is on a visit outside India. So this Rule 7 of FEMA, or Foreign Exchange Management Act, exempted the use of international credit cards from the LRS payments. So if they are using international credit cards, then the allow will not be calculated. But The reason and about Foreign Exchange Management Act, FEMA is it is enactment one that deals primarily with the provisions related to cross-border trade. Right? Its FEMA is about cross-border trade and payments. It defines procedure, formalities, dealings of all foreign exchange transactions in India. That is FEMA. It is introduced in 1999 and replacement for the earlier Foreign Exchange Regulation Act, that is FERA. So FERA is replaced by FEMA. FEMA is replaced by FERA in 1990. FEMA is replaced. FERA is replaced by FEMA in 1999. FEMA is the head of FEMA's head office is known as Enforcement Directorate and situated in New Delhi. Primary objective to help facilitate external trade and payments in India. That is the objective of Foreign Exchange Management Act, that is FEMA. To help orderly development and maintenance of the foreign exchange market in India. That is also responsibility of FEMA to facilitate transactions leaving foreign exchange, foreign security payments and outside the country India only through the one authorized person, to encourage dealing in foreign exchange under the current account through an authorized person, to authorize the Reserve Bank of India to subject capital account transactions to a number of restrictions. Applicability. It is applicable to all parts of India, yes. It is also equally applicable to officials, agencies located outside India but managed or owned by Indian citizens. So it is applicable to all parts of India. It is a FEMA are all parts of India and equal applicable to official and agencies that is located outside India and managed by Indian citizens. FEMA is applicable to following entities transactions. For example, Tata is making office in UK, they are also coming under the FEMA. FEMA is applicable for the following entities and transactions. So, what are the transactions on which FEMA is applicable? Any citizen of India residing in the country or outside, it is applicable. Any overseas company that owns 60% or more by an NRI, if non-resident Indian, if any overseas company has 60% or more uh, ownership lies with NRI, that FEMA is applicable. Any associated branches, subsidiaries outside India of companies or bodies corporate registered or incorporated in India. Exports of any good and service from India, imports of any good service to India, banking, financial, insurance services provided outside India, cross-border sale, purchase, exchange of any kind that comes under Foreign Exchange Management Act. Next, what is liberalized remittance scheme? What is LRS? This is a scheme of Reserve Bank of India introduced in 2004. It's a scheme of Reserve Bank of India introduced, very important for prelims. Under the schemes, all resident individuals, including minors, are allowed to freely remit up to US dollar 2,50,000 per financial year. So freely 2,50,000 per financial year for any permissible current or capital account transaction or combination of both. So US dollar 2,50,000 per financial year is permissible. Not eligible. The scheme is not eligible for two corporations, particular partnership firms, Hindu undivided family, and trust. This is not eligible. So these communities are not eligible for the liberalized remittances scheme. Though there are no restriction on the frequency of remittances under LRS. Once a remittance is made for an amount up to $2,50,000, including during the financial year, the resident individual would not be eligible to make any further remittances under these schemes. So, if once remittance is made up to $2,50,000 during a financial year, then after that, resident individual will not be eligible to make any further remittances under the schemes. Okay. G7. G7 climate wish list. G7 climate wish list in the realities of the efforts to cap warming. The reality of the efforts to cap warming. A series of recent studies and reports have been once again sounded the red alert on climate change, saying that the situation is worsening rapidly and the window of opportunity for effective action was narrowing faster than ever before. So, so the global emissions are increasing. Obviously, there is a report that up to 2025 the emissions will increase, and this is going to be a big threat unless and until we have got a report of declining the emissions rate. It is said that by 2025 will be the area of maximum emission. After that, it will decline because the world is shifting very speed is shifting towards the electric vehicle system and energy efficient equipments. That is the reason, right? Last week, and also development of renewable energy. Last week, World Meteorological Organization said that 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold was likely to be breached, right? Breached that we go. What is the in the Paris climate deal? We have target that we have to keep our rise of global temperature within 1.5 degrees Celsius from pre-industrial level. Right before industrialization, what was the temperature? This century, by the end of this century, we have to keep it within 1.5 degrees Celsius temperature rise. But it is observed that it is going to be breached by various reports and data. Last week, World Meteorological Organization said that 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold are likely to be breached. This is what said by World Meteorological Organization. It is likely to be breached because enough actions regarding the climate change is not taken. The funding is not collected. The funding is not properly available for the developing countries, and also the developed countries they have not done proper technology transfer. A few other studies suggested that this year 2023 is on track to become warmest ever, surpassing 2016. The new research claims that heat wave in India and some neighboring countries last month was almost certainly due to climate change. The probability of its occurrence having been increased at least 30 times by global warming. So various uncertainty, climate change uncertainty, for example, cyclone that are also happening, which is a what is the manifestation of climate change, and that is the symbol of that because of climate change, the humanities are suffering severe problems, and the real effect is visible. Studies calling for an immediate scale of climate action have been appearing almost weak now. However, in a response, though quite substantive in last years, doesn't seem to be able to keep pace. The latest example of response has come from the G7 passed after the meeting of the climate ministers last month and now following the leaders summit. The G7 group of rich and developed nations with economic health to create necessary momentum and global change repeatedly acknowledge the urgency of problem, but offer a little in terms of scaled up action. At G7 is a member of rich and developed nations, right? Canada, France, UK, Germany, Italy, Japan, okay, US. The rich and developed nation with the economic help to create necessary momentum for global change. Repeatedly acknowledge the urgency of the problem. They have acknowledged the urgency of the problem of the climate change and it need to be addressed, but offered little storms to scale of action. So G7 they are acknowledging the problem. Various international organizations they are acknowledging the problem, but they are not taking any real step towards addressing the climate change. That is the big problem. In its final communique here, Japan G7 listed a set of milestones that need to be achieved for a realistic chance of containing the global rise in temperatures to within 1.5 degrees Celsius. They have given a realistic uh, G7 has given a realistic chance. Okay. Then what is seeking peak in 2025? The G7 stressed on the need of global peak of emissions by 2025. Yes, the global peak of emission will be by 2025. The G7, the G7, UK, US, the G7, the US, the UK, Germany, Italy, Japan, France, Canada, Germany, Italy, Japan, France, Canada, claim that their emissions are already peaked and ask all the major economies to ensure that their individual emissions do not continue to rise beyond 2025. Their individual emissions do not continue to rise beyond 2025. Major economies is not defined, but in the context of climate change, it is usually includes countries like India, China, Brazil, South Africa, Russia, each of which is a significant emitter. So these are the major economies. They are significant emitter who are emitting huge amount of carbon dioxide. It is India, China, Brazil, South Africa, Russia, and Russia, right? And G7 countries they are not ensuring any what they are major economies, but they are not taking any significant step with respect to climate change. The 2025 peak year is not mandated under the Paris Climate and any other international decision. India has a long India has a long made it clear that it sees emissions going well into the next decade. Even the China in the world's largest emitter has indicated that it will peak only towards the end of this decade. So this decade, and that is the reason why it is not this 2025 peak year is not mandated by the any agreement or any substantial any import or big country or major economy. The reason is that India and China, two major economies, South and Asian major economies, they have not no they are not they will not achieve the peak emissions by 2025. So this there is high expectation that this target will be reached. Okay, still a global peak of greenhouse gas emission by 2025 is not implausible. The biggest emission year so far is 2019, about 55 billion tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. 55 billion tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. After a dramatic drop in 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic, emissions rose again in 2021. Right, because of pandemic, the emissions has declined. Right, because many of the transport sector, the various tourism sector that are stopped, education sector has stopped. That's the reason. While the emission of developing countries, including India, are still increasing, most of the rich and industrialized nations are now seeing a decline. Right? Industrialization, their emissions are declining, but in developing countries like India, the emissions are increasing. Though not at in the required area space, estimated from UN climate change suggests that it is if all countries took only those measures that they have promised so far, emissions in 2023 2030 would be about 11% higher than the 2010 level. So 2000 that it will be 11% higher in case of India, right? What will in case of world there is no institutional there is no institutional analysis till now, right? They're expecting that it will decline. At least by G7 they have said it will decline by after 2025. But India and China are not agree with it. These are two major economies, and Next year, net zero by 2050. The G7 reiterated its commitment to turn net zero by 2050 and asked all major economies to attain net zero status by that year to come up with a detailed roadmap to reach the target. Right? Here we have two challenges. If India has promised in the Glasgow summit that it will reach net zero by 2070, China has also promised to reach net zero emission by 2070. So here G7 is committing that it will become net zero 2050. Here, so what are the challenges arise if you are going aggressively towards the renewables and making great shift in the sudden shift in the economy of the fuel economy, then there are chances that we may suffer the economic crisis like Sri Lanka. So not only so such type of activities need to be controlled and gradually so that the growth rate will not happen. Right, the growth rate will be maintained along with will develop the will increase the renewables. Right, science says that the world as a whole must become net zero by mid-century in order to meet the 1.5 degrees Celsius. Right. So if you are not, yes, now the target is how we will achieve the Paris climate deal target. If you are not going net zero by 2050, then the target of Paris climate deal cannot be achieved. That is what the report says. Okay, the International Panel on Climate Change has said that it could happen before 2014. It could happen. It may happen. See, suddenly if you are getting a very strong technology with respect to battery, if you have battery strong technology, many government they must participate, and the each organization, private, public, and various international bodies they will collaborate together. There, this may be possible, right? To reach the climate action by 2070, 2050. China has said that it will turn net zero by 2060. Okay, India has set 2070 as a target. Some targets countries include big emitters, Russia and Saudi Arabia have 2060 as a net zero target. So most of the countries have said that by 2060 they will achieve net zero targets, right? Okay. The G7, yes. If this country become net zero by 2050, it will mean other major emitters such as US, European Union will have reached much earlier. As of now, only Germany has said that it will attain net zero by 2045. So Germany, which has strong presence in solar cells, it has pledged that by 2045 it will achieve the net zero status. However, the post 2050 targets of major developing countries are not set in stone. So the fast changing technologies, rapid adoption of cleaner source of energy situations could alter significantly over the next decade. But countries like India which want to keep some wiggle room for themselves and not make commitment that they are not mandated to do so, right? So whenever you are making a commitment, we must adhere to the commitments and what achieve them. That's why India is not promising. Another thing is that we have to also maintain our growth because we are developing countries. We have to fulfill the various responsibility towards citizens like providing the basic healthcare system, the basic livelihood system, the basic houses and sanitation system. And even today, there are much more than 20% of the people are below poverty line. That's why various steps to be taken for the development. So, in such a situation, India cannot promise net neutrality by 2070. Even it cannot promise at 2050, right? Because it will be very risky. It will be very risky to achieve, right? That's why India is not promising. So India is moving away from the fossil fuels and gradually adopting the renewable energies, right? Your various sources. So Quad Summit 2023. Recently, Prime Minister of Australia, Prime Minister of India, Prime Minister of Japan, Prime Minister of the United States met for the third in-person Quad Leaders Summit. The summit was hosted by Prime Minister Albanese. The sidelines of G7 summit in Hiroshima. Anthony Albanese, right? He has started the summit, Quad Summit 2023, where Australia is the host country this time. Summit will be held in Sydney, Australia, so it is the host country Quad. However, it was cancelled after the US president was postponed to visit due to the debt ceiling negotiations with Washington. That's why it was cancelled. The key highlights of Quad Summit 2023, the leaders issued a joint vision. Joint vision statement titled Enduring Partners for Indo-Pacific. Their statement expressed the reserve of Quad leaders worked as a force for good to find common solution to region-wide benefit. That is, the region is Indo-Pacific region. Indo-Pacific region. It is also called as East Quad. Next, cyber security and security software. Critical and emerging technology standards. Quad International Standards Cooperation Network and the Quad Principles of Critical and Emerging Technology Standards are released. Critical technologies means, for example, banking technologies is critical and technologies. For example, medical health equipment or information system. These are critical and technologies, right? Or critical infrastructure. These reflected the support of Quad leaders for industry-led consensus-based multi-stakeholder approaches to the development of technology standard. Multi-stakeholder means, for example, the private sector, the government sector, the civil society, they will, right, multi-stakeholder based approach to development of technology standards. How can it increase the development of technology? PM Modi announced the next Quad leaders meeting. Announced the next Quad leaders meeting that will be held in 2024. Participating leaders for the first time explicitly expressed their deep concern over the war raging in Ukraine. They called for ending the Ukraine war and called for the through dialogue and diplomacy while asserting that it must not be an era of war. Right? Indian government has cleared its position in the United Nations that it must not be an era of war. So they should stop fighting and start discussing and solve the issues. Quad countries recognize that serious impacts on the global economic system, including food, fuel, energy security, and critical supply chains. So that may happen. These repercussions, this may happen on the global food chain. It may happen, right? However, they didn't directly refer to Russia's actions, understood the different deterrence and difference in between a divergent stand on the issue. Divergent stand means we have to collaborate with both the Ukraine and Russia. We have different. It is called as policy of deharmonization, right? Where when we are developing Russia, we will not think about the Ukraine. When we develop with Ukraine, we will not think about the Russia, right? That's why we have to balance our foreign policy, right? Just a second. The leaders of four countries are also committed themselves to maintain a stability in the Indo-Pacific region according to the international law. Right? According to the international law, why we are making this quad? They are making this quad because of the aggressiveness of China in the Indo-Pacific region. Right? China is a authoritarian regime, and Xi Jinping is a very powerful leader. So they are expecting that China is aggressively developing its relationship with all the island countries. It is developing various ports and harbors for its navy base, and it is because of sting of pulse theory also. So far countries especially they are thinking to, because China cannot be trusted. That's why, because it is not a democracy. That's why the USA and Australia and India they are announced. So now a broader and that is yes they have described that it is a engine. They jointly, these all quad leaders they have jointly have the objective to fight against any type of violation of international law, because China has violated the international law in the South China Sea, right, against South Asian nations. Next is okay. In the address to PM Modi described Indo-Pacific region as an engine of global trade. Engine of global trade. It is the high engine of global trade, right? Most important region of global trade, like South China Sea, like the Indo-Pacific region or Indian Ocean, or in case of Red Sea, they are very important region. Djibouti area, important region of global trade. The Quad leaders announced that they will now pursue broader Quad health security and partnership rather than earlier Quad vaccine partnership 2015 total for COVID-19 vaccines. So there will be quad health security partnership. Why? Because you are expecting that any pandemic may happen at any time. That's why you must be ready to face any type of pandemic. Announced in March 2021, the Quad Vaccine Partnership aimed to donate 1.2 billion doses of COVID vaccine to the Indo-Pacific by the end of 2022. Under this partnership, India will produce vaccine doses. The United States would finance dose production. Australia and Japan would aid in vaccine manufacturing, distribution, and financing efforts. The joint statement also dealt with the Quad concerns over North Korean missile launches, the call from Myanmar, and the issue of terrorism. With a specific reference to 2008 Mumbai attack, in 2016 Pathankot Airways attack, they committed to the Quad countries, right? These Quad countries are committed to anti-terrorism or pursuing terrorist designation at United Nations Council. So they shall force the United Nations Security Council to declare any terrorist organization as a terrorist organization, right? Okay. So they will also strengthen the cooperation through the working group in counter-terrorism, right? These BRICS countries, China is also suffering from terrorism in the Xinjiang area, right? The new working group of counter-terrorism announced during the Quad Foreign Ministers meeting in March 2023. Quad leaders also on a new under-research table infrastructure partnership to build networks across the region, right? To develop infrastructure partnership to undersea cable infrastructure, so that what will happen, so that the internet connectivity or broadband connectivity will be easier. The call leader emphasized the importance of adherence to international law and the maintenance of freedom and navigation over flight. So, primary objective is maintenance of international law in the Indo-Pacific region. The reason is that Pakistan has dominated the Indo-China region. It has China dominated in South China Sea and acquired many islands. That's why it is not it is evident that China do not obey the international laws. In May 2022, US President Joe Biden has announced IPMDA initiative for regional partners and allies to promote free and open Indo-Pacific. That is IPMDA started by US government. So IPMDA intends to connect regional partners, allies, American technologies, provide greater maritime situational awareness in real time. The leaders welcome the launch of private sector-led Quad Investor Network (QUIN). QUIN aims to facilitate investment, strategic technology, including clean semiconductors, critical miners. So all of these are answered. Okay. Then World Health Assembly. Some prelim facts. World Health Assembly. Prime Minister Narendra Modi virtually addressed 76th World Health Assembly in Geneva. World Health Organization founded in 1948 and headquartered Geneva. While congratulating the organization for serving the world for 75 years, PM Modi said that the pandemic showed that there is a need for greater collaboration and health equity. Right? The pandemic, such type of threats cannot be countered by a single country. So multiple countries, multilateral nations, there is the requirement of collaboration among them. He mentioned that India showed commitment towards international cooperation during the pandemic by shipping 300 million vaccines doses over 100 countries from the global south. India has termed as vaccine leader. It has sent over 300 million vaccines to 100 countries. The PM's call for equity healthcare comes on the backdrop of India's G20 presidency, where one of the priority areas is creating global network for manufacturing and medical countermeasures, diagnosis, drugs, and vaccines, so that everyone has the access to it. So it has called for equity healthcare comes on the backdrop of India's G20 presidency, right? So, based on India's G20 presidency, one of the priority areas is to develop a network of manufacturing medical countermeasures, so that anytime any pandemic happens, then all the countries must collaborate each other and supply of various equipments, medical equipments, the vaccines and other medicines to each other, collaborate with each other. That will help to counter each other as well. So, because everybody has different expertise, some people has some countries have medical expertise to manufacture various types of equipments and some as vaccines, so that they must collaborate and complement each other. About World Health Assembly, it is a World Health Assembly WHO decision making body attend delegation from all of the WHO member states. It is headquartered of WHO, that is Geneva, Switzerland. Specific health agenda is prepared by executive board remains the focus on this assembly. Function of WHO, World Health Assembly, deciding organization policies, appointment Director General of WHO, administration of financial policies, review and approval of proposed program budget. So this is the functions of WHO, study regarding policies and appointment and administration, financial policies and budget. All these are the next is Prime Minister visit of Papua New Guinea. So that is in news recently. Prime Minister Modi has held a bilateral meeting with His Excellency Mr. James Marape, Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea, on 2022 May in Port Moresby on the sidelines of third summit of Forum from Indo-Pacific Island Cooperation, that is PIPIC. Both leaders took stock their bilateral relations and discussed the way and means to further strengthen their partnership across various sectors, including trade and investment, health capacity, building skill and development, information technology. They also discussed issues related to climate action and promoting people-to-people ties. The Prime Minister reiterated India's support and respect for the priorities and wishes of Pacific Island nations. The Prime Minister and Prime Minister Malapil launched the translation of Tamil classic, that is Thirukural, to Tok language in PNG. Thirukural, Tamil classic Thirukural is also translated into Tok language, and both leaders have discussed various ways for strengthening partnership in trade and investment, health capacity, skill development, information technology, right? And also the priorities that India has towards the Indo-Pacific region as it is a member of Quad countries. Okay. Now, the objective of the counter of China, aggressiveness of China in the Indo-Pacific region. What is India-Pacific Islands Cooperation PP? Forum for Indo-Pacific Island for Cooperation PP was launched during the Honorable Prime Minister Modi visit to Fiji in 2014. PP includes 14 of such island countries, that is Cook Islands, Fiji, Kiribati, Marshall Islands, Micronesia, Nauru, Niue, Palau, Papua New Guinea, Samoa, Solomon Islands, Tonga, Tuvalu, and Vanuatu. These are the 14 islands under PP countries. So these countries are relatively small inland area distance from India. May have large exclusive economic zones, offer providing possibilities of fruitful cooperation because they may explore many marine resources. India focus has largely been on the Indian Ocean, where they are sought to play a major role and to protect its strategic and commercial interests. The PPIC initiative marks the serious effort to expand India's engagement in the Pacific region. Right? So it's a serious initiative. Right? That is PPIC. Very important for claims. Namami Gange, right? Namami Gange, it's 4,000 volunteers. Namami Gange initiative has been keeping a check in littering and poaching over the river, making the future flora and fauna are intact. Okay, Ganga Prahari or Guardian that are also launched. I will see some objective questions. INS Tarini was in news. Why INS Tarini in news? Because it is Indian Navy is all set to receive the sixth member of crew INS Tarini, including two women officers. Flagging ceremony in 2023, Indian Naval Watermanship Training Center at INS Mandavi, Goa. It is returning after successfully completing 17,000 nautical miles in trans-ocean intercontinental voyage in 7 months. So it is returning. That is INS Tarini. It is sailboat of Indian Navy after INSB Mehdi. INSB Mehdi. It is it is doing Navika Sagar Parikrama 2017. So this is the question. So for answer rating, discuss the important provisions of India's space policy 2023. India's space policy 2023. This is the question. How the new space policy is different from previous space policy in the space sector that will be discussed. You try to write it. And next is yes. Now the question is, what are the liberalized remittances schemes? Consider the following statements regarding liberalized remittances scheme. This scheme is introduced by Reserve Bank of India in 2004. Yes, the answer is right. First statement is right. Under the LRS scheme, no restriction on the foreign currency frequency of remittances. Under LRS, once remittance is made on up to US dollar 2.5 lakh during a financial year. This is also right. The scheme is not available to corporation, partnership firms, in undivided family or trust. This is also right. So all the options are right regarding the liberalized remittances scheme. Consider the following statements regarding Namami Ganga program. It is operated under the Department of Water Resources, River Development and Ganga Rejuvenation Ministry of Jal Shakti. Okay. Next, the program is being implemented by National Mission for Clean Ganga, that is MNCG. National Mission for Clean Ganga. And the program is fully funded by Government of India. This center is sector scheme, so all the statements are right. Operated under Ministry of Jal Shakti, National Mission of Clean Ganga, this is also right, and Government of India. So 1, 2, 3, all the statements are right regarding National Namami Ganga program. Recently, Rajaji Tiger Reserve. Rajaji Tiger Reserve was in news. Okay. Consider the following statement regarding Rajaji Tiger Reserve. It is situated in the state of Himachal Pradesh. It is located in the transition zone between temperate western Himalaya and central Himalaya. It is not Himachal Pradesh, it is in Uttarakhand, UK, Uttarakhand. It is located in transition between temperate western Himalaya and the central Himalaya. So two only option is the right answer. In case that is Rajaji Tiger Reserve. Rajaji Tiger Reserve. It's in Uttarakhand. Recently, Union Minister inaugurated the Center of Excellence on Sustainable Land Management, that is COESLM, or Indian Council of Forest Research and Education, Dehradun. Consider the following statements with respect to COESLM. It is established by Government of India to set up land degradation neutrality targets. It will develop drought risk and early warning systems. Which of the following statements are correct? Which of the following statements are correct regarding the COCSLM? Yes. It is established by Government of India and to set land degradation neutrality targets. It will develop drought risk and early warning systems. So both the statements are correct with respect to Indian Council of Forest Research. So that is equal with respect to Center of Excellence of Sustainable Land Management. Right? Both are right. Consider the following, that is INS Tarini in the news. INS Tarini was in news. What is INS Tarini? Consider the following statements. It is the second sailboat of Indian Navy after INS Mehdi. Yes, this is right. It is it is known for circumventing globe with all women officers crew. Yes, it is known that all women officers crew. So second stage also is right. So both the statements are right with respect to INS Tarini. The Minister of State for Science and Technology recently announced that 27031 yes, 231 stolen antiques have been repatriated from into India in last 9 years. Consider the following statements with reference to antiquity law in India. The antiquity has been sculpture and painting that has been in existence for not less than 100 years. Can be sculpture antique. What is antiquity? That's minimum that should be 100 years. It is not. It is not lawful for any person in India to export any antiquity under the central government or any agency authorized by the central government. So all those statements are right. It must be minimum 100 years. Then Wagner Group. Wagner Group recently seen the news. It's a paramilitary organization. Wagner Group. It is a paramilitary organization of which country? It is the paramilitary organization of Russia. Okay. So B is the answer. Wagner Group. Then Barlacha law pass. News recently in the news. Consider the following state with respect to Baralacha Pass. Right. It connects the Ladakh and Lahore district of Himachal Pradesh. Yes, Leh district of Ladakh Leh district in Ladakh, Lahore district in Himachal Pradesh. It's situated in Jaskar Range. So Both the statements are correct regarding the Varalacharnas. Consider the following statements with reference to the stagnant teaching and learning results for states, star projects in India. First statement is that it is a centrally sponsored scheme launched by financial support from the World Bank. Okay, so it will be implemented in all the northeastern states to improve school education. So this is not only for the northeastern states; it is for the whole India's the other states as well. So um, first statement, this second statement will be wrong. So one only is the answer. Next question. Recently, Union Minister inaugurated Pasmina Certification Center. Pasmina Certification Center (PCC) in the Wildlife Mission Dehradun, Uttarakhand. With the to PCC consider the following statements. It was established by Export Promotion Council for handicaps in collaboration with the Wildlife Institution of India, and it is provided by one-step testing facility to certify genuine Pasmina product free from any prohibited fibers. So both the statements are right. Okay. So the lectures end today, and like this video and share and subscribe to VANIK-IAS. Thank you.